Hey, Brian. Bry Stagg. There's a lot technically good going on here. I'm happy to see this starting out. I think there's a lot. You kind of get it. I mean, you're already throwing 30 and 60 with these things, so it's not a totally foreign concept to you. There's no stumbling giraffe stuff going on here, so that's good. What I want to address with you is your first turn. Big surprise, right? That is to me, I'm very I don't know if traditional is the right word, but I'm very just kind of common sense about a lot of these things, and that I think things tend to go wrong early in the throw, and then a lot of the throw is trying to correct those things, and that's where you lose things later. So what I want you to pay attention to is where you land, generally speaking. You're starting more or less, between your feet is right there. Your left foot's in this space right here. Underneath your hips is the red circle. Look how much space into the box you cover. This is a common thing you're going to hear, right? A lot of people talk about that jump in and that taking up a lot of space. But it is important, especially with the heavyweight, because what I see is this. You land in a decent position. Left's a little low, but it's not the end of the world. But because of what you did here, by pulling this weight in, pushing your center of gravity out this way early, now the weight, as big as it is, it will obey the center of gravity. So it's way out wide here and it's trending left. So, you think about it, it's here, and then there's a yank, and then it trends left over here, if that makes any sense. This kind of yank that you put on it right here, it's not following its normal path, like you kind of set it back here. You set a good path, but then you're kind of pulling it out of that path right here, saying, hey, come over here with me to the left. So you land here, you've eaten up a decent amount of space. Now, is this the worst I've ever seen? No, but is it something we need to address to maybe get more drive out of this thing? Yes, absolutely. And then watch what happens here. So, long time in this position to where we're not really hitting a solid drive because I don't think you're totally balanced there. Even though you look athletic, I think you're tilting. I think your gravity is shifting back that way. In fact, I know it is by watching this happen, by watching the weight and you. And see, there's the compensation. There's a lot of pitch right there. Good job with the left arm still. But you're just dancing on the foul line there. And that's hard to do. Now, it is good to drive from this corner to that corner. That is a great thing to do. I am all in favor of that. But to do that, you have to land in the same spot you started. Like it damn near has to be that right foot lands where the left one is right now. You need to land from this in your back right corner. How do we do that? Let's address that with our cast and drops and our cast and throws that we put into our weight for distance practice once in a while. Even line drills, if you want to do those. I don't prescribe them a lot at this point in the season, but if you want to do them, it helps to stay tight on the first turn especially. Um, but what we need to do here is this needs to be a longer sit and sink against the weight. So let's go back to your cast here. So you do a good job. Sink. You turn in the chest back here a little bit, which I dig. Do it more. Turn your chest more to the back. Let this left arm come even more through like this. You're facing your chest can almost be facing back right there. Watch Aaron George, watch Spencer Tyler. Watch how they turn back to really get the path of this thing going. What that does is it creates a path back here instead of this thing just swinging back. It comes back and out and around. That's what we want right there. Back, out, and around. And then here's the key, though. Get back, get that chest back, get that left arm through. But then here, you have to sink and sit really hard. You cut short right there. And then that's right when you cut short, the sink, and sit against it. When you cut that sitting and sinking, the torso takes over and starts pulling back this way immediately. So this takes longer than you think it does. I use this with everybody. You'll hear me say it a million times to you. You have to spend quality time with the weight in the back right here. You have to spend time getting this thing out and around you before you decide to make that first turn. You need to experiment with waiting till the weight is here before you come out of that sit against it. You don't want to push it all the way around. You want to find that sweet spot where it's right at your right hip, basically. And then you come around. You take control right there and land tight. You do a pretty good job. You have the athleticism here to land athletically however you want to. It's just a matter of timing. It's not like you're just flying free. You don't know where you are. You have good kinesthetic sense here. But what we need to do is we need to sit against this, sink harder here, sink against it a little bit more, sit into it, keep it out away from you and around you. Work this thing around you a little bit longer with a little harder sit and sink, And you're going to find when you do this leap in, keep your knees nice and tight and turn that right how you're doing, you're going to find that you land closer to that corner. That's going to be key because then it sets you up with all this room and you're balanced. If you're here, if you land from your, instead of landing here, if you land over here in the corner, you're going to have all this room to run. And it's going to take you to the left. That's what happens. Rugby fouls out on the left, right? But it's going to happen, but you're going to have all that room, and you won't feel so cramped when you get to here. When you get that head around, you're like, oh, shit, here comes the toe board. Here comes the foul line. And you start kind of cutting deals with the devil right there to shorten it up and make sure it stays in. You will find, if you land in this back right corner, that you have all the room in the world to drive. You have all 9 feet, or whatever the hypotenuse is, like 10.2, so I don't know. I'm not a math magician. But yeah, that's the main thing I want you to work on, man. Cast and drops, cast and throws, and that first turn. When you start working on the, your sprint phase isn't bad right now. We'll get to that. We'll get there. That stuff is going to come. But right now, let's work on getting this first turn down so you're landing nice and tight and you're landing in that back corner. So again, to review, when you get back here to the back of your cast swings, let that chest come back more. Let that left arm push through even further. Then sit and sink right here for longer. Get this thing around you instead of yanking it in right here. Try to get this thing out away from you, long and around you, and sit against it and sink right here longer than you think you need to.